Welcome students in standard 8th class NCERT syllabus history subject chapter 2nd from trade to territory the company establishes power part 2nd. Points to cover from this part 2nd we are going to cover these points from trade to territory, subsidiary alliance, Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore, war with the Marathas series of wars, the claim to paramountcy, the doctrine of lapse, setting up a new administration, the Mughal army, the company army and the conclusion. So step by step these all points we are going to cover. First of all, from trade to territory, in the first part we have studied about how the Britishers they came for the purpose of trading activities, but after the victory in the Battle of Plassey, they started to expand the territories. They started to gain more and more area under their control to develop trading activities. So here, company rule expands after analyzing the process of annexation. Annexation means what? Suppose you are writing in the examination on the answer sheet. But suppose if you feel that the answer sheet is not enough to you, what you are doing? You are taking supplements, and that supplements you are attaching to the main answer sheets. But that attachment you are doing with the help of stapler. Sometimes you are using thread tightly. You are making the tying thread with the answer sheet. So hence what you are doing? You are making answer sheet with the help of attaching supplements. So here also annexation means what? The British territories, and they were forcefully attaching the other areas to their territories. So that is the annexation of Indian states policy. East India Company started from the year 1757 to 1857. 1757, this year is quite famous in the history because very important event took place in this during this year. 1757, famous Battle of Plassey, East India Company's first major victory on the Indians' land. So the East India Company they started annexation policies, but the East India Company before attacking any Indian territory they were using certain key aspects. Some of the methods, alternative ways they were using. So which the alternative ways they were using? Political, economic and diplomatic methods, and with the help of these reasons they started annexing Indian states. Also, after the Battle of Buxar in the 1764, the Battle of Buxar took place when Mir Qasim Puppet Nawab was there, when he opposed to pay the duties to the company. Battle of Buxar took place. So after the Battle of Buxar, what Britishers, what East India Company they did? They started to appoint residents. Now who were these residents? Residents means company officials, those who were loyal, those who were well-wishers of company. So such officers they appointed in Indian states. And what was the job of these officers, these residents? To set the news related to political as well as commercial regarding. So whatever the political changes in the Indian states as well as commercial activities, these all activities they were sending to the company. So hence in this way these residents they were totally loyal to the company. So step by step we will see the alternatives, which alternative methods used by the company for the annexation process. So first of all, subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance, this new method was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley, in the image you can see the British officer, British governor, British general. He introduced subsidiary alliance policy. What was this policy? According to the subsidiary alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They have to appoint armed forces, means the soldiers or the security purpose. They have to allow company forces. See, they were to be protected by the company, but this service was not free of cost. But these rulers had to pay for the subsidiary forces, means the company army. Whatever the company army was there, that army will protect to the Indian rulers, and the Indian rulers, they had to pay to the company huge amount cause of the company's army, cause of the subsidiary forces. If the Indian rulers fail to make the payment, see, the Indian rulers, if unable to pay the company payment cause of the company's army, then the part of their territory was taken away as penalty, punishment. Cause of the reason that unable to pay the payment of the company's army, company what they were taking the steps, they were taking under control the territory of that particular Indian ruler. So with the help of this subsidiary alliance method, many states were subjugated, or many states were annexed by the company. Second method, doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse, according to this method, actually this method was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, and according to this method, that if suppose an Indian ruler died without son or male heir, his kingdom would lapse and will be converted into the company's territory. So this, according to doctrine of lapse, Governor General Lord Dalhousie from 1848 to 1856, this final wave of annexation introduced to the Indian states. If a ruler died without son, his kingdom will be attached with the territory of company. In 1856, the company took over Awadh. Then you can see in the image Queen Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. Then also some of the provinces such as Satara took according to the doctrine of lapse policy, company under their control. But many Indian states were opposed to this policy, and cause of that, in the year 57, a great revolt took place, and it was also become famous in the history, 1857 revolt, because this revolt from all part of the communities was fought against the company. The next policy or the method, the company adopted the claim to paramountcy. Paramountcy means supreme. See, paramountcy, a new policy initiated under Lord Hastings. Lord Hastings, he was very important personality. He was the Governor General from 1813 to 1823. Under Lord Hastings, company established or company expands its power. See, the company claimed that its power was greater than that of Indian states. The claim to paramountcy, according to this policy, the company stated that its power, means whose power? Company's power was greater than that of Indian states. In the late the East India Company became worried about Russia because some of the Russian traders, it imagined that Russia might expand across Asia and enter India from the northwest, and it will be a threat to us. Cause of that, company officials or the company, they were little bit worried. The company fought a prolonged war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule there. Here see northwest part of Indian subcontinent. They were worried because Russian traders easily they will, if they will enter in the Indian subcontinent, then there will be for the company position purpose threat will be there. Hence the company established their domination on the Afghanistan after the prolonged war, and hence the company established their rule over there also. Punjab was annexed in 1849 after two prolonged wars. As well as Punjab, one of the very important province, one of the very important territory, which was also took under control by the Britishers. So these, the claim of paramountcy, then doctrine of lapse, then subsidiary alliance, these methods the East India Company used to annex more and more Indian states and they established control on the vast Indian territories. We can see opposition to the ways of capturing Indian state. We have seen subsidiary alliance in the form of penalty through subsidiary alliance. They under control lot of territories. Then doctrine of lapse. Then we have seen paramountcy. So with the help of these company officials, they took a huge chunk of Indian territories. But many Indian group of as well as we can see many revolts were taken place over there. We can see Queen Chinnamma of Kittur protest against annexation policies such as rebellion. Queen Chinnamma took rebellion against the company. Then Ramanna, a poor watchman of Sangoli. Then Queen of Jhansi, then Maharaja Ranjit Singh of Punjab also opposed in the form of rebellion. Also he fought, but after his death, company took control on the Punjab territory. Then we have seen Tipu, we will see Tipu Sultan of Mysore, one of the brave Sultan. He also fought against the company rules. Then we will see Tipu Sultan, the tiger of Mysore. In this image you can see Tipu Sultan. He was the Mysore Sultan as well as the son of Hyder Ali. Then under his Tipu Sultan, under his when he was ruling on Mysore, Mysore became one of the prosperous territory. What he did, he also fought many war against the company. What he did, many of the profitable trade of the Malabar coast, one of the flourished coast in the southern part of our country, where the company purchased paper and cardamom. But Tipu Sultan, what he did, he stopped trading activities whichever take place between the company and the Mysore traders. So Tipu Sultan in the year 1785 stopped the export of sandalwood, paper and cardamom. And for that reason, the company fought 4 wars with Tipu Sultan. The series of wars took place, and 1767 to 1799. But at the last, the war which took place in the Seringapatanam in 1799, Tipu Sultan lost and the company got victory. And in this way, the Mysore was also reached under the company officials. Now the war with the Marathas. Marathas, one of the powerful dynasty. Then we have seen the Marathas, especially they expand in the last year in seventh standard we studied Marathas very widely. They expanded their control, especially northwest part of our country. Then the company, they also came to know that these Marathas, they started become very powerful. So they were planning to destroy Maratha power, and for that reason near about three wars, series of wars took place. We will see that is also. The third battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas were defeated and their dream of ruling from Delhi was shattered. They were divided into many states under the different chiefs belonging to dynasties such as Scindia, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhosles. See, Marathas principal minister belongs to Pune state, Pune based Peshwas. So under the Peshwas there were many chiefs such as Gaikwad, Holkar, Bhosles as well as Scindias. And these chiefs, they were taking care of the various of the different territories which under control the Marathas. And these under these sardars there were the series of wars took place. See the series of wars. Marathas were indulged in series of war. Indulged means they were engaged in the series of wars. The first war ended in 1782. See, the Maratha and the company, there were three wars took place between the Marathas and company. These wars also called as Anglo-Maratha wars. So first war 1782, it was ended with the Treaty of Salbei. Means in this there was no clear victor. Next, the second Anglo-Maratha war in the year 1803 to 1805 was fought on different fronts, different locations, and in that battle, means in the second Anglo-Maratha war, Britishers, they succeeded in gaining Orissa as well as some of the part of Agra and Delhi. And with this, what happened? The Marathas' dream to control from the Delhi got shattered. And finally, the third Anglo-Maratha war took place in the year 1817 to 19, and with this, total Maratha power got crushed by the company. Now, setting up a new administration. Now, the Britishers, almost a huge part of Indian subcontinent, they took under their control. So, they started to think about the administration. So, what type of administration these Britishers or the East India Company officials, they were activated? Warren Hastings, as I said earlier, Warren Hastings, he was the Governor General, and under his reign, the company expand its power also, as well as company established its control on the huge territory. During his time, the company had acquired power in Bengal, Bombay and Madras. See these very important residencies. British territories were broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. Such as you can see here in this way. On India, here Bengal province, then Madras and Bombay province. So, the whole British administration divided into these three provinces, these three units, and these units were called as presidencies. On each presidencies, they appointed governor. Means each was ruled by a governor. of justice was established. Very important year, Britishers established new system of justice which still is prevalent. Which system of justice they introduced to the Indian states? See, they establish, according to the new system, each district needed to have two courts. A criminal court means Fauzdari Adalat and a civil court means Diwani Adalat. Two courts, criminal court and civil courts. So such a type of new system of justice they introduced in the year 1772. As well as now what they have did, they introduced new system of justice. But for giving the justice, they need to require to study Indian religion, most probably the majority of people following the religions. So that religion study they were needed. So what they have did, see, the Brahmin Pandits have different interpretations of local laws based on different schools of Dharma Shastra. Earlier there were the various schools were there in the form of Gurukuls, and in the Gurukuls Pandits they were giving Pandits about the Shastras, they were reciting and they were giving the knowledge to the others. So here to bring uniformity. So the different laws they were following. So to give the justice there should be a uniformity, and for the purpose of that in the year 1775 panel of 11 Pandits they called and asked to compile a digest of Hindu laws. So they called 11 Pandits and they asked them to make or to compile one digest, and in that Hindu laws, related to Hindu laws, compile a book. Like that way, in the year 1778, a code of Muslim laws was also compiled for the benefit of European judges. But whenever they wanted to give justice, when in the case of Muslim people, so that's why what they have did in the year 1778, Muslim laws also they compiled, and those compiled books used by the European judges for giving the justice. Under the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court was established, and now also we have Supreme Court which is situated in Delhi, and on the state level there are the High Courts. Like that way, while a court of appeal means Sadar Nizamut Adalat was also set up at Calcutta. So in that way, the appellate court as well as Supreme Court established. Then the collector was the principal figure in an Indian district. Now also on the district level, collectors are there. Their jobs to collect the revenue. They were asking to the tehsildars or the block development officers. Then under the block development officers, other revenue officials are there. So such a way, the collector was the principal figure in an Indian district in the year during the company officials, they started to emerge their power, they appointed, and that time also they appointed the job, they reserved the work to the collector to collect the revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in the particular districts with the help of judges and police. So the collector was very important person in the form of collecting taxes, also maintaining law and order also, as well as in the help of the judges and help of the other officials. So this was the new set of administration introduced in the reign of Lord Hastings. Now the Mughal army. Mughal army, in the Mughal army, there were the two types of soldiers. Cavalry. Cavalry means some of the soldiers, they were sitting on the horses and doing the warfare activities. So such a soldiers means they were trained soldiers riding on the horseback and doing the warfare activities. And infantry means what? Paidal soldiers. Paidal means the soldiers, those who were on foot, they were running to the battlefield and doing the warfare activities. So two type of soldiers, two types of Mughal army composed: cavalry as well as paidal. The army of the Mughal was dominated by the cavalry. Most probably the cavalrymen, they were having great importance in the Mughal army. But in the 18th century, what happened after the Aurangzeb's death? The successors of Mughal emperors, what they were started? They started to appoint soldiers from the peasants category. They took the people from the peasants category and they gave to them training and used them as a soldiers in the army. In that way, professional soldiers they made to them, and like that way the Mughal army was compiled. So here you only have to remember, in the Mughal army composed cavalry as well as paidal savars, and later Mughal successors they appointed, they recruited peasants in the Mughal army after giving them training. Then the company army. What type of company army? There were the similarities between Mughal successors army and the company army. Now how similarities? See, in India, colonial rule brought some new ideas of administration and reform. We have seen they set up the new administration, collector, court systems and so on. The East India Company adopted the same method which came to be known as Sepoy army. Sepoy, actually Sepoy word originated by the word Sipahi, and Sipahi means in Hindi soldiers. So what these company officials they did, in the early 19th century, the British began to develop a uniform military culture, and for the soldiers' purpose, they took the Indian people and they started to train these Indian people in the army, and the drill, with the help of drill, discipline and a strict training, with that they made their military, they compiled their military, they compiled their soldiers. So with this we have seen the Mughal successors, what they did, they from the peasants group they created their army, and here we can see from the common Indian, these Britishers they started giving them training, disciplinary manner, as well as by using the European culture, they make uniformity among the Indian soldiers. Here you can see sepoys in 1850. These were the Indians. With the help of these, means the Indian soldiers, the company officials, they gave them training, as well as with the help of the European culture, the strict disciplinarian they introduced to the Indian soldiers. Now the conclusion. The East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. At the conclusion, what we can use to say that the view of the company for the trade, but they become the territorial colonial power. In the early 19th century, new steam technology arrived, steam engine invented. By the 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of the territory. Here you can see Indian territory which reached under the colonial power. Near about 63% land went under the company officials, and 78% of the population wise 78% population was under the company officials. So with this we are going to conclude the chapter. I hope you understood